Students of standard 7, last time we had done activity 1 of lesson number 2, that was exploring puzzles, and in activity 1 we read a story of Akbar and Birbal. Okay, Akbar had put forward a question that what should be the punishment for a person who tweaked the emperor's moustache. Okay, and what did the courtiers do? They thought about a very strict punishment and they suggested all strict punishment to be given to the person who had tweaked the emperor's moustache. But Birbal, okay, what did Birbal do? He suggested that he would give the criminal or that offender some sweets. Okay, and actually he was correct. Okay, actually it was the king's grandson who had done that, and Birbal was correct in his way. Okay, now see, in activity 2, what is written is, why was Birbal able to give the correct answer? Birbal was able to give the correct answer because first of all he thought clearly. See, all the other courtiers, what did they do? As soon as the emperor asked the question, they started giving the answers. But what did Birbal do? Birbal answered the question only when Akbar told him to answer. Akbar told him, and you Birbal, what do you suggest? And that is when Birbal gave his answer. So what was the quality that Birbal showed over here is that he thought clearly and realistically about Akbar's question. And that is why he was able to give a correct answer. Okay, now there is one more word that is, see, Birbal did not make assumptions. Assumptions means something that is believed to be true without evidence. Means without any proof, you just think that okay, this is true. Then that is called an assumption. So why was Birbal able to give the correct answer? Because he was not making any assumptions. Okay, so the meaning of assumption is something that is believed to be true without evidence. Okay, now see, these assumptions, sometimes they can be correct. Say we think about something, sometimes it may be correct. Okay, say for example, your father, if he comes from office, say generally late in the evening, and then someday he goes to sleep earlier than his usual time. So what is the assumption you will make? That okay, maybe he is very tired. Maybe he had a lot of work in his office today. Okay, so that time your assumption may be correct. But sometimes our assumptions may be wrong. Okay, so say suppose your friend is absent to school on any particular day. So you may think either he may not be well. You may think either he must have got up late. You may think either he must have gone out of station. So these are what? These are assumptions. Okay, you think that something like this must have happened. So these are your assumptions. But these assumptions, sometimes they may be correct, sometimes they may be wrong. Okay, if they are correct, there is no problem. But if your assumptions are wrong, they can lead us to wrong thinking. Okay, so wrong assumptions can lead us to wrong thinking. So always, what's the best way to answer a question is, you should think realistically and you should think clearly and then only answer. Okay, because you just cannot make assumptions for everything. You have to think before you give your answer. Okay, in this activity, there are two questions that are given. Okay, that the courtiers heard the emperor's question. And what was the question that the emperor had asked? Tell me what should be the punishment for someone who dared to tweak your emperor's moustache. We know from the story, this was the question that Akbar had asked. What did the courtiers assume? From the word assumption, what is the word that comes is assume. This is the verb form, okay. So, what must the courtiers have assumed? And there is a box given in the textbook to write the answer. So, the person must be, what was the assumption of the courtiers? That the person must be a criminal, and this type of behavior with the emperor was wrong. So they thought that if someone goes near the emperor and tweaks his moustache, this type of behavior is wrong, and that is why such a person has to be punished. Okay, which line in the story? There is one more question that's given. Which line in the story help you to know what their courtiers were thinking about? So see, there is a line on page number 12, and it says that the courtiers were shocked at the thought. Okay, and this line suggests that they were thinking. Okay, and moreover they thought that it was such a big crime to go and tweak the emperor's moustache. So this line from the story shows us that the courtiers were thinking. Okay, activity 3 is a puzzle. Okay, and the puzzle over here says that a dad and a son were riding their bikes and crashed. Means they had an accident. 2 ambulances came and took them to different hospitals. So you understand one thing, that 2 of them are going together, they had an accident. Okay, but they were taken to 2 different hospitals. The man's son was in the operating room and the doctor said, I can't operate on you, you are my son. Okay, so how is that possible? So the doctor over there at the hospital where the son was taken, the doctor over there says that I cannot operate you, I cannot do your operation. Why? Because you are my son. And how is that possible? Because the doctor may be the mother of the boy. Okay. So over here, see, these are just, this joke is just telling you, what this riddle is just telling you that how do we make assumptions. Okay. So see, when your friend asks you puzzles, what do? What do we do at that time? We make assumptions and we start giving the answer. Sometimes our assumptions are right and sometimes our assumptions are wrong. Okay, activity 4, that's written on page number 15 of your textbook. Okay, activity 4, it's written, it's adapted from the Canterbury Puzzles and Other Curious Problems. So from this particular book, this story has been taken. Okay. Now it's by Henry Ernst Dudeny. Okay. And from this particular place, this story or this puzzle has been picked up. I am reading from their page number 15. Long ago, there was an inn where pilgrims often stopped on their way to worship at a famous shrine. Okay. So many years ago, there was an inn. Now what is an inn? Okay, see, say many hundreds of years back, say people had to go from one place to another. They had to either use animals like a horse or camel or things like that, or they had to go on foot traveling from one place to another. So on the way, many kings and those people, wealthy people, what they used to do is they used to make inns for the travelers to stay. So maybe probably a very big room where they would be given accommodation, means they can stay over there and they would be given food. So they can rest over there for the night and then next day morning they would continue their journey. Okay. So that was the purpose of making inns, I-double-N. Okay. So that was the purpose of making an inn. This was a place where the travelers would rest. So there was an inn where pilgrims stopped. Now who are pilgrims? People who go on religious journeys, those are called pilgrims. Okay, if you go to a religious place, then that particular journey is called a pilgrimage. Okay, so the people would stop at an inn on their way to a famous shrine. Shrine is a place of worship. So they would go, they had to travel to a shrine and on the way there was a inn. And the inn was a place where people used to rest during the evening and the night time, and then next day morning they could continue their journey. During the long evenings, they rested from their journey. They would tell stories and sometimes amuse each other with games and puzzles. Now see, many hundreds of years back, there were no mobiles and such things to entertain people that they could play on their own and they can listen to songs and things like that. So the people who had gathered over there, what would they do? They would share their experiences, they would say stories, or they would ask puzzles to each other. Okay, this was the way they used to spend their time in the evening. So during the evening, they would tell stories and puzzles to each other. One evening, the company all turned to the pardoner. And one evening, there was a pardoner over there. Who is a pardoner? A person who goes to different places selling official church pardons. Okay. It means that, in the church, they have a system that they can confess. If they have made any mistake or committed any sin, they can go and confess it. Okay. They have a confession box in the church, where they can go and say that, okay, this is the sin or this is the mistake that I have made and I am very sorry for it. So, pardoner takes such confessions from one church or from the head of the church to another place and things like that. That person is called a pardoner. So there was a pardoner in that group, and so the whole group told the pardoner that okay, today is your turn, today you ask us some interesting puzzle. So the pardoner at first, what did he say? Oh, I am very tired and I cannot think about a puzzle just now. But the other people over there, they insisted him too much that no, you have to ask us a puzzle. Okay, so it's written over here, the pardoner's puzzle. Okay, that is the part I am reading. The gentle pardoner, who had just arrived very tired all the way from Rome, begged to be excused. So he had come a very long journey from Rome and he was tired. So he thought that no, at present I cannot think about any puzzle. But the company would not spare him. But all the other people would not spare him. No, we won't let you go. You have to ask us a puzzle. Friends and fellow pilgrims, he said, truly the puzzle that I have made up is a poor thing, but it's the best that I can think of now. Blame my lack of knowledge of such matters if you don't like it. So the pardoner made a puzzle. Okay, but everyone liked the puzzle very much. Okay, and what did he do? He made 64 boxes, and each of those boxes suggested that they were 64 towns. Okay, so as in your textbook on page number 16, these are 64 boxes. See, 8 this way and 8 this way. So these are 64 boxes. These 64 boxes show what? That they are 64 towns. Okay, and any person has to start from this place, the dark box that's given over here. And from there he has to visit all the boxes, all the towns in 15 straight lines. And they also have to remember one thing, that they cannot visit the town again. And over here one line has been left intentionally, means there is no way from this town to this town. Okay, so all of you can try it at home. Start from this box. Take 15 lines, it should go with 15 straight lines, and try doing the puzzle. Okay, join each and every box, but you should take care not to repeat, and it should go only within 15 lines. You should join all these puzzles. One suggestion or hint I can give you over here is start from here this way and then go about it. Okay, yeah. Now that is now on page number 17. In activity 5, again there is a story of Akbar and Birbal. Okay, it's a short story, and you must have, I suppose you must have heard this story in some other context also in your earlier classes. Okay, activity 5. Yeah, one day walking in the garden with Birbal and other courtiers, Emperor Akbar bent down to pick up a sharp stone. So Emperor Akbar, he is walking in the garden with Birbal and other courtiers. Emperor Akbar bent down to pick up a stone, and what did he do? He bent down and from the ground he picked up a sharp stone. With it he drew a line on the ground, and what did he do with the stone? He drew a line. Okay, so this is the line that Akbar has drawn on the ground, and said, Birbal, make the line shorter. And his question was directly to Birbal. And what did he tell Birbal? That okay, you make this line short. Okay, he paused and with a glint of mischief in his eye. Okay, he wants to do some mischief with Birbal. Making the line short, okay, anybody will rub it out and say, okay, I made it short. But what is the condition? That he should not touch the line. Without touching the line, make the line short. But don't touch it, just make it short. So what is he suggesting? That without touching the line, you have to make it short. The courtiers looked at each other. Birbal surely could not do it, could he? So now the courtiers started looking at each other, because they thought that if you want to make this line short, but naturally you have to touch it, you have to rub it out. But otherwise there is no other way to make this line short. So all the other courtiers thought what? That definitely this time Birbal won't be able to solve Emperor Akbar's puzzle. Okay, perhaps he would finally be outwitted. So this time Birbal won't be having the answer. But Birbal calmly bent down and picked up another stone. But what did Birbal do? We know he is very wise and he is very smart. Okay. And he always was up with a solution to Akbar's problem. So what did he do? He bent down and picked up another stone. And what did he do? He drew one more line. Okay. So this is the line that Birbal has drawn. Okay. He quietly drew a second line below Akbar's. Okay, so he drew one more line. Everyone looked at the two lines and Akbar's line was clearly shorter than Birbal's. Now, when the courtiers looked at the two lines, definitely Akbar's line is shorter than Birbal's line. There was a brief silence. Brief silence means for a short time. There was silence because everyone was thinking that no, this time Birbal won't be having the right answer. But Birbal again has got it. Then Akbar smiled. I thought I had outsmarted you this time, but you have done it again. So what did he say? That what did Akbar say? That this time I thought I have asked you a difficult thing, you won't be able to do it, but you have done it again. You have again proved that you have answered. See over here again. Birbal, he was very wise and he could easily think about the problem in a logical manner and in a realistic manner, and he always had the solutions to Akbar's problems.